Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Today, we are here live with Co-working Live with Red Worldwide, and I'm Dr. Patience Jackson Rose, and I'm excited that you are here with us today. Today, we are going to be talking about the Agile leader and its role for people who are in the position of an executive or a business owner, an entrepreneur, or a person who is just learning to take on the role of leadership. And so this is a very, very important skill set. We want you to really take some notes today and just see how you could begin your path to becoming more agile as a leader. But before we get started in this today, I want to remind you that we do have resources to assist you as you're learning some of these skills that we have been talking about. Red Worldwide is an educational support services company, so we do provide a lot of educational resources. So if you find something that we've been talking about in our previous broadcast or something that you see today, and you are interested in having access to it, remember all of these videos are in a uh, you know, curated list, okay, if I can say it that way, on our podcast on YouTube. And you can also go to our website, redworldwide.org, and scroll down to the middle of the page, and you'll see Co-working Live, and you'll be able to click there, and you'll see the list of videos. There's over 70 videos there. We are very excited about, keeping this catalog of material that you will have to go back to and as a resource. It's free, so we want you to take advantage of our complimentary offerings. We also have newsletters that we post there that are free. If you would like to be able to take advantage of those newsletters, please sign up on the website. We don't send you offers for things, that are outrageous or anything like that. That newsletter is specifically designed to add value to your business, not to get you involved in some other kind of relationship there. So please, take advantage of our complimentary offering there. And then we also post our ebooks that are available to you. We try to post 3 every quarter. And so sometimes we're able to get in there 3 a month, in a quarter. And if that's the case during a time that we have a lot more time to do postings, you get a bonus. So, but they're free there on the site. So please take advantage of that. We do want to make sure you know that you have lots of resources. We have classes. There's some that are low cost, some are no cost, and then there's some that are at a cost. But we, do try to provide quality material for you as a business owner so that you have the ability to do business better. But with that said, Javon, I want you to roll our video. We have a little intro video because we want you to understand what agility is and how it works for people who are a leader in their company.
Hey, have you heard about Agile leadership?
Yes, I have. It's a leadership approach that emphasizes flexibility and adaptability.
Exactly. Did you know that being agile in business is becoming more and more important?
Yes, I heard that agile leadership can help businesses stay competitive in today's fast-paced environment.
That's right. Here are 5 key reasons a business owner, executive, or CEO would want to adapt an agile leadership style.
Okay, I'm listening. What's the first reason?
The first reason is that agile leadership enables faster decision-making. It allows leaders to respond quickly to changes in the market and make informed decisions.
That makes sense. What's the second reason?
The second reason is that agile leadership promotes innovation. It encourages teams to experiment and try new things, leading to new ideas and solutions.
Interesting. What's the third reason?
The third reason is that agile leadership improves team collaboration. It emphasizes teamwork and communication, leading to better collaboration and productivity.
I can see how that would be beneficial. What's the fourth reason?
The fourth reason is that agile leadership increases customer satisfaction. It allows businesses to respond quickly to customer needs and deliver products and services that meet their expectations.
That's important. What's the fifth reason?
The fifth reason is that Agile leadership improves employee engagement. It empowers employees to take ownership of their work and contribute to the success of the business.
Wow, those are all compelling reasons to adapt an Agile leadership style. I think I will get started with this today.
Yes, they are. It's clear that being agile in business is essential for success in today's fast-paced environment.
Okay, well, I just want to thank our little AI assistants for sharing that information with us today. But, I find that, a lot of times we are able to learn new skills in different ways, by presenting them differently. And so I love sharing, from that perspective because it gives us a way of seeing it and, kind of changes things up a little bit. But what I want you to know is that every one of those reasons that he talked about are reasons that you should consider becoming a more agile leader. And I would say this, about this particular type of change. This is not something that happens immediately. It's an overtime, kind of process because, you've been doing it the way you've been doing it. And sometimes, when we do things a certain way, we get used to the I don't know, we get used to our own path that we've been, traversing. And having the leadership change, will mean that every time something new occurs, you will have to adapt your previous responses, previous propensities for doing things a certain kind of way to using this style. So I don't want you to get I don't want you to get frustrated if you start going down this path and something doesn't quite work the way you wanted it to immediately. I want you to understand that this is a process, and the process itself is one that we, have to learn, patience concerning. And so let's kind of look at the slides and talk about agile leadership and what it would mean to make some changes, in your establishment. Okay, first slide, please. Okay, so I love this beautiful picture here. We see the gentleman, he's in his business suit and he is, setting sail. I mean, he is getting ready to, go, on a journey, a voyage. And we see that, when we're talking about navigating change with confidence, it is something like that. It does, give us the feel of being on a journey or going on a voyage and having, the responsibility of, you know, steering the boat. You are not someone who's standing off on the side, making changes and watching things happen. You are right there in the process. So you are on the boat, okay? You're steering it and you are taking responsibility for the leadership of these wonderful people that are on your team, and the I guess I would call it the journey itself, is although I talk about journeys, in a different way than others many times because I talk about them being an ever-changing landscape. And if you can imagine that you're walking down the street and as you're walking, every at every turn, things just change, and that's literally how it happens in business. Sometimes it's the same for, shorter periods of time, but because things, happen differently in our markets, things happen differently in industries. Technology is changing so quickly. So as you're steering this boat and you're, going across these seas, sometimes, there are different types of conditions that can affect you. And it would require for you to be able to swiftly adapt to pivot strategies so that you can guide your team through uncertainty. And unwavering, confidence has to be yours. You got to be in a position where you believe and you emit that belief, that you will definitely arrive at your destination, but you have to have creativity. You got to be able to have some speed, okay? And when you are moving about in the business landscape, because some things happen without your knowledge and they happen so quickly that you just are not available, well, I won't say available, you're available, but the changing dynamics sometimes helps to make it such that you may not be able to move, the way that you normally would if you had a lot more time to make a decision. And so we're going to talk about what you can do to equip yourself. How do you have this agile leadership, acumen, okay? And how do you put it in your toolbox and your arsenal so that you can, move about with this skill and people can see what you do and then they can begin to take on the same type of skill set, with, I would say with excellence so that, they will also be able to lead the people that they are leading. So let's talk about what agile leadership is. In truth, next slide, please. Is the capacity really to rapidly and effectively adapt. You have to be able to adapt to circumstances that shift, and they shift without your permission, okay? While maintaining a laser focused long-term objective. You got to see the end game. And some of you who have coached with me, who might be watching this, you've heard me talk about focus on the end, focus on the end. You can't get stuck in what is going on right now, and you have to, if you've been in our backwards business planning workshop, you know that we talk about the fact that we look at the end result and we course our path back to your day one. Sometimes day one might be day three, okay? If you're just getting started with the process or you're just learning about this, and you've been at this a little while, or a couple of days, okay? You may have made some mistakes. And so you might have to pick up the pieces and start with your agile leadership role, after you've been in this, for a few days, and when I say a few days, it could be a few years. But the point that I'm making is that you got to have this proactive rather than reactive framework, okay? And you got to be able to anticipate and embrace change instead of merely responding to it. I'm writing a new book right now. It's one of our Power Stations installments, in our series, and it's for women. And in this book, as I'm writing, one of the things I talk to women about is about being able to, have conversations when you're in the middle of change. How do you have a power-filled conversation when it feels like everything underneath you is moving and changing, and it's doing it at a rate that is just almost unconscionable? It's like, oh my God, I didn't, this is moving too fast. I really want to slow the world down so that I can, feel better about the decisions that I'm making. But sometimes you don't have that kind of time. And so I'll say the same thing to you leaders. You don't have that kind of time. Sometimes you have to make a decision quickly and you need to be nimble. Okay, NIMBLE. You got to be nimble. Agile leaders, they possess the unique ability to pivot strategies swiftly. They're nimble, all while keeping their teams aligned and motivated, because sometimes people, they don't understand why you're doing what you're doing and that you're doing what you're doing. I was talking to my team this morning about, some changes that we've made and how we've had to, change up some things with even receiving payments. There's some things happening in the industry with Zelle, and, people are being hacked. And so, that had calls for us to have a tighter knit strategy on how we do things. We remember when there was a big issue with people cloning cards, and that happened, not that long ago. Okay, where we were the subject of such of a situation where someone cloned our cards, and they got access. They got inside of my computer, and they were able to get access to some of our credentials. And in doing so, they took money, and the bank had replaced a lot of it. But unfortunately, the way that they did it, it left us with big gaping holes, thousands of dollars that we had to recoup, and we had to, we had to go through a few things. We lost some of our credibility because of that, and we had to regain that credibility. And so it was so important that in those moments, as soon as we realized what was going on, that we were agile, that we pivoted. But let me just tell you, some of that we didn't know for a while. So it was evolving, So like we talked about how sometimes the landscape is changing and it feels like the ground underneath you is moving. It could feel like an earthquake in your business, and the tectonics, okay, of what's going on could be very difficult for you to think through. But as an agile leader, you have to be able to, as I said, think on your feet, be nimble, so that you have the ability to model for your team. How do you stand resolute when some of these things are going on around you? How do you stay in the game, okay? When it seems as though you don't have very many people on your bench. How do you, that are still able to play, I should say? How do you remain, constantly evolving? How do you remain in that position where you're constantly evolving to adapt to what the changes are, so that your company is still around, okay, to be able to serve the people that you have been designed to serve? The importance of agility is one that we have to really look at, because our volatile business landscape, has created this opportunity. And I call it an opportunity. Some people don't necessarily call, these re- the requirements of change an opportunity, because they just haven't been in business long enough to see it that way. And so what happens is they get really disheartened when something changes that creates an opportunity for them to change. They really get upset about what's going on around them, and the energy that goes, and the frequency that you have to develop out, that goes into everything when stuff is changing like that, could be really, affected if you yourself are not in a position where you have this breakneck speed, in making the changes. Crises can emerge, and they come without warning. Unfortunately, we don't get, a post-it note every time something is going to happen in the market. Okay. So, it has transitioned us from, just having agility as a desired trait to having it as an essential skill. I mean, it's just absolutely necessary. And so the one thing that I will say to you as a leader is that as you are developing your character, and I mean, there are moments that are just better character building moments than others, when things are falling around you and you don't exactly know what to do, and you're having to make these quick decisions, on your best day. Okay. Sometimes it seems like it feels like it's your worst day. But when you are able to seize opportunities faster, to mitigate risks more effectively, and foster a culture of continuous innovation, your company shows up, differently, and you will be around to tell the story to someone else who might be coming up after you, when you have accomplished, one feat after another. Next slide, please. So what are the characters of an agile leader? How do you know that a person is agile? Well, let's look at these three things, because I want you to, I don't want us to go down this, the whole list of 10 and all of that. I just have kind of, taken it and really condensed it down to three main things, because I really want you to take this and be able to use it today. I don't want you to have to, to work on this for months. You might have a situation that shows up tomorrow. The landscape of business might change, this afternoon. And I need you to be ready to take on, whatever comes, with a new attitude. So let's look at the three things that are characteristics of agile leaders. Well, the first thing is you have to be a visionary thinker. Not just a visionary leader, but a visionary thinker. Okay, so agile leaders possess this uncanny ability to anticipate change. How do you anticipate change? You got to be able to sense it, to feel it. It's kind of interesting. People who are around me, they watch me in certain situations, and they watch the way I answer questions when I'm like in interviews or when I'm working with people. I've heard someone who's been on, when sometimes I'll have two or three people on a session, and I'm working with one person mainly, but their insurance professional might be there, or their accountant might be there, or maybe their tax professional might be there. And I hear them say things about my ability to respond to the question that the client has asked. And so one of the persons was like, how do you know it's like you're so quick to get the answers. I mean, we see you doing stuff. We don't know what you're doing. You come back with this answer. It's like, gosh, I would have had to go to college to figure that out, but it's a skill set that I've developed, in how to research things quickly, how to go to credible sources, how to package it, how do you present it, and how do I do that in, I don't know, 60 seconds or less. Okay, not quite 60 seconds, but, because sometimes I have to tell people that I'll get back to them, but I try to have an answer, at least a preliminary answer, for them within the 2-minute range, so that they feel that there's an ability for us to go and really speak to their specific situation later, but at least give them the, best case scenario, or the best opportunity, from whatever the code is, the commercial code or tax code or whatever we're working with at the time. Well, and this is the same way, when you're faced with a situation and it happens like, right then, and you're having to look at, okay, what is happening and what do I need to be doing and what should my team be doing? Those are the kinds of things that go on in my mind. So I'm thinking in a visionary way, and I'm anticipating what some of the issues might be, okay, that if I did this, what could the outcome be? If I did this, what could the outcome be? And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But I'm just saying that's what's going on in my mind. And then I even jot down in my little journal on my tablet, okay, if we went this way, this is what could happen. If we went this way, this is what could happen. Which is going to be the best scenario for the time frame that we're in. And so you're constantly scanning the horizon for emerging trends, potential disruptions, new opportunities, and that kind of forward thinking approach, it allows you to steer your organization proactively rather than merely reacting to the changes as they occur. I am a person that is not reactive. I have to tell you this, I'm not a reactive person. I'm not, I'm quick to make a decision, but I am not quick to just make moves in a reaction to something that occurred. I'll respond, but sometimes my response is silence and stay put. Okay. And so to some people that seems like it's not a response, but it really was a response. It was a response of, just standing still and allowing things to play out just a little bit, before we make a move, because it's sometimes in that, because of the opportunity that gets created because of whatever this thing is that's happening, by standing still while everybody else is scattering, there might be, the ability for you to take action in a situation, and you could gain clients, you could pick up you know, the fallout, okay, could end up being, a tremendous opportunity for you. You could rebuild right there while people were, scattering. Some people stayed. I mean, there are just lots of things that can happen. So having the visionary thought process that allows you to anticipate change and prepare for a future scenario, those two things, are the keys to visionary thinking. And they are the reasons why, a lot of companies have stood the test of time. And then having the decisiveness with flexibility. Some decisions that you make, you have to still be flexible in the decision. You made a swift decision, but in that decision, you see that you may need to make a different decision. So you have to be open to another course of action, because sometimes that course of action can be a course correction. And so for that reason, you cannot, just get, so rigid in your decision making that you don't plan for, other changes that might happen. I talk about earthquakes and how, you might have an earthquake, but right after it, you've got an aftershock or a set of aftershocks. Those aftershocks, can create sometimes more damage than the earthquake itself created. And so you have to be in a position that if you made a decision to move underneath the table and the aftershock happens and the table collapses, okay, you've got to be able to get out from underneath the table, And so, I mean, I'm looking at it from this standpoint because I live in California, or I lived in California for many years. And, I was raised in California. And so, we had a lot of earthquakes, and I learned a lot of lessons from earthquakes, trust and believe. But the thing that you want to know is that the application that I'm saying, this rapidly changing environment that, happens, in business, it really does give you the ability to, understand, how you move about, because it's sometimes perfect information is not available. You don't have all of the intel at once, and so you have to make informed decisions, and those decisions are going to be on a continuous information process. You're continually getting more intel, more information, and as you do, you're going to have to be quickly adapting, and pivoting with the new data as the circumstances change, okay, or as they emerge, as I have here. All right, and then you have to empower your team. Sometimes it's not important for you to give everybody all the information up front. You just can't do it. You may not even have the time, because things are happening so quickly. You don't have the information system to get people play by play, but you have to empower your teams to the point of where they trust you. And when you do that, when they give or get the commands that they get, they are not questioning your leadership. And even if they are, they're still moving forward with the questions. They're knowing that she's going to give me the answers, or he's going to give me the answers, or not. The answers might not be important, okay? Because sometimes the answers are not important, right now. And later, as we dissect everything, then their answers might emerge inside their own mind. They might be able to see that. And so you have to build an autonomous unit, capable of making quick decisions themselves. And when they see you do it, and then they can kind of dissect the way that you did it, when you begin to give them, the strategies that you're using as you're adapting to change, they can now be trusted to do the same without the constant oversight that some people who micromanage, are in the process of doing with their companies. You have to be in a position where you can delegate authority. And when you're there, the people who you're working with, your teams, whether they're contractors, employees, or vendors, or, volunteers, it's all the same when it comes to this particular area. When you're able to delegate authority, you have to be in a position where you can trust the people that you're working with. Because when you create a responsive organization that can swiftly address challenges and seize opportunities, you don't have to worry. You're not having to, cover so much ground, feeling like you have to lay out and cover everything. That's not something that's necessary when you have the right team in place. Next slide, please. All right. So, what is the agile leadership mindset? What is it? Okay. If when we're looking at it, I love this slide because it's such a beautiful display of, the cloud of things that could be happening, and then you see this guy that's on this path, and he's walking into whatever he has no clue. Okay, of what is going on per se, in front of him, but he's moving forward as if, there is not going to be an obstacle ever in his path. And so agile leaders view change, they don't view it as a threat. Okay. They view it as a gateway to innovation and improvement. And that's one of the key things, when you have an agile mindset, you are seeing things differently. I mean, I am thinking about our um, departed friend Steve Jobs, okay, who coined the phrase "think different." And when you're in a position where you have that different mindset, where the perspective that you have is one of, okay, this is not the end, this is a beginning of something. Okay. And so when you can see it that way, your environment is thriving. It's, always going to be, a opportunity for these reframing moments. Challenges are going to become opportunities. Changes are going to be opportunities. Okay. Agile leaders inspire their teams to approach change with enthusiasm and creativity. Then the other thing is the agile leadership mindset is one of continuous learning. It doesn't stop. You got to be in a commitment to have this ongoing ability to, acquire new skills and knowledge, but be willing to unlearn outdated practices. If stuff is not working, then you need to ditch it. Okay. And be careful about holding on for things too long for nostalgia purposes. This is part of what makes us, this is our brand. You can rebrand. You can actually take those things and stand on them as foundations, but, understand that agile leaders cultivate a growth mindset. Okay. Constantly looking for new insights, new approaches, and enhancing their leadership effectively. Okay. Um, and being effective is more important, okay, than being right some of the times, because sometimes, we go over or we over emphasize, I've got to be right, I've got to make sure that this is the right move, for our company. But when you get down the road, sometimes what you thought was the right move turns out to have been a cog in your wheel. So understand that being effective, you know, prioritizing your efficacy as a leader, okay, is more important. Letting people know that, hey, I don't have all the answers today. And what was right yesterday may not be right for us tomorrow, because our landscape is changing and we have got to adapt. Okay, so having the adaptive thinking going forth in your mind is going to really um, give you the strategy to fit these new contexts that are coming forward. It helps you to remain flexible in your approach, and it gives you the ability to be ready to abandon plans that no longer serve your company well, because sometimes the plan doesn't serve well. And when it doesn't serve well, it doesn't serve at all. Okay. And so I need you to be understanding that in this moment, yes, I did say be understanding. That means that this is a future perfect kind of situation. I need you to navigate complex, ambiguous situations with confidence. Even though you may not always know where you're going, you know what your end game is supposed to be, but if it changes, it's okay, because some things are no longer relevant. And when they are not relevant anymore, then that means your customer may need something different. And that gives you an opportunity to provide them with something new where you can serve them better. Next slide, please. So how do we cultivate agility as a leader? How do we cultivate this? Next slide. We have to foster a culture of experimentation. People have to be able to explore. They need to understand that it's okay in your organization for them to have a spirit of innovation, to be a risk taker, and to present something that might be different than what you have been using in the past. The environment where new ideas are welcomed and failure is viewed as a learning opportunity, that environment is one that is highly sought after for people who are coming to work for your company, with your company, or even people who might be funding your company. The culture of experimentation will naturally lead to greater adaptability and resilience within the organization. Now, I am not talking about making changes every single day. I'm saying that when you foster the culture of experimentation with the streamlined decision making process, those two things can land your organization in a place where there can be rapid iteration, and these feedback loops where people are constantly telling you, how they view what it is that you're doing and what that is doing for them, so that you can respond swiftly to a changing circumstance and make sure that it's serving the company and serving its culture and serving its employees and serving its customers, at the same level. Okay. Then you got to be able to stay connected to the market, develop keen awareness to what's going on in and around you. When you make a statement like, I don't care what other people who are my competitors are doing, it, I mean, there is, there's a lot in that statement. Okay. I get that, you want to continue to do what you're doing, regardless of what anybody else is doing, but you got to stay connected to the market to some degree, because there are customer preferences, technological advancements. You could be missing out on serving your clients better and more completely than what you've been able to do before. So regularly engage in some, exploration, discovery sessions, talk to your customers, talk to partners, talk to industry experts, gain more diverse perspectives, learn more about what you're doing so that you can be in a position to offer more and to anticipate changes so that you can pivot your strategies proactively. Okay. And we have to understand that sometimes things happen. Next slide, please. I want to talk about some uncertainty. There are times where things are just, they feel like you are going through a doggone maze. I mean, I have had people, tell me this. Next slide. When they are challenged with things, where the uncertainty is happening and it's just unwavering, challenges. I mean, just don't seem to stop. Okay. It seems like, there's one thing after another. I've heard people use current terminology like the hits just keep on coming. You know, there are responses that you can have, and so let's kind of take a look at these four areas and what a response that you can have and what the outcome could be if you took that response. So if you have a challenge, something that comes up, you use an agile leadership approach, using that agile leadership mindset and doing some of the things we've talked about, where you pivot quickly, and you make these changes, but staying open to the possibility of something, coming, new information that could also cause you to pivot even more or to make more significant, approaches that will be more, that would lead you in a position where you are having better benefits from those changes. You end up with a And actually, there are three. I'm sorry, I told you that there are four, but there are actually three things that we're going to look at, as far as the outcomes. But it'll leave you with a better outcome. So let's kind of take a look at the approaches and the challenge. Okay. So the market disruption, the market has been disrupted. Something has occurred where technology has taken over what you used to do. How do you approach this? Well, your approach is rapid pivot to new business model. Okay. Period. I mean, some of us are using AI, and I tell you, in this particular case, I would be using AI to help me look at all of the options that I have for a pivot in my business model. I had to do this, early last year when some things changed in some of the way that we were providing services. We needed to have a way to get our product to our clients quicker. And some of you might have heard me tell this story a little bit, but there have been times where, because of the influx of clients, especially around tax time, we had just so many people, and trying to serve them well was not going to be something we could do, the way that we were structured. And so because of the market disruption, we had to pivot quickly to a new business model. And in doing so, it says here increased market share. And that's exactly what happened. We were able to, have more to work with financially, so that it helped us to better support that change that we made and to continue down that path. If there's a global crisis like the pandemic, okay, how can you respond? Well, transparent communication and flexible work policies, being able to get people to understand what's going on and how it's affecting you and what it is that you're going to do about it quickly is going to be key when you're in the middle of a global crisis. And having some flexible work policies are going to be key, because while everybody is, seeing this global issue happen, they're also going through it with you. And so for that reason, you need to give them the ability to have, things structured in their homes appropriately so they can continue to do what they're doing. Or if there's going to be a change that affects the company, they have the ability to, move about, in the world the way they need to, so that if they have to add an extra job or do whatever they can do while going through this global scenario, they are in a position to do it. Then what happens is you have enhanced employee loyalty, because now they can see that you're doing everything within your power to help them stay, remain stable, and have this situation be sustainable. Okay. What if there's a technology shift? We've had that happen with AI, where some people, the jobs that they used to do are now being done, through a browser in ChatGPT. So I'll just say that this is where you have to invest in upskilling. People have to get more skills. They need to learn how to use the technology so that they can take advantage, or you can take advantage of what's going on with the new AI boom. If there's a technological shift that actually replaces their position, you need to be able to offer something new, give them the ability to move forward in your company, but maybe in a new position, and have the innovation to, support that, because some people have the idea, but they don't have the innovation. And so as a result of that, they're not really able to offer what they'd like to offer. And what happens here is then now you have an industry leadership position that's been created, because of that shift. Okay. So, these are real world examples of what's going on right now and how agile leadership has helped companies. Next slide, please. So I want you, if you have your phone, to take a picture of this, because when we start talking about building out an agile team and what cross-functional collaboration is continuous learning opportunities and agile methodologies, I don't have time to jump through all of these and really dissect them today the way I'd like to, but I really want you to understand that cross-functional collaboration has to do more with you unifying your teams. You might have different people working on different things, And when you're able to bring all the teams together so you can cross pollinate the ideas from your accounting department to your sales department, so everybody can understand across the board how everything works, having a more holistic approach, having your media team, talk, and share so that people who are in the content, they're not in the content development, but they're in the content creation. Okay, they're creating the content, but they may not be developing out all of the media assets. They can kind of understand how things work, for the media group. These cross-pollination activities are very important, inside of the company. And then having, again, more continuous learning opportunities where there's ongoing training and people are constantly able to go to LinkedIn Learning or wherever you have them going. If you have your own courses, that you're producing courses, new courses, that they're able to have the ability to get these soft skills they need so they can continue to make your team, have your team have the level of continuous improvement that they need so that the culture of the company is one of improvement, always improvement. Okay. And then agile methodologies, how do we implement the methodologies beyond just the IT department? Okay. How do you adapt beyond the people that are helping to fix things? Okay, like sprint planning and daily stand-ups and retrospectives across all teams. These are huge in the company. And on one of our Tech Thursdays, we're going to break down some of these things. How do you sprint plan? What is that? How do you, do some of these, stand-ups that we've kind of talked about, in this particular episode? And how do we get ourselves to use these skills so that we can not just talk about them in theory, but really implement. Next slide, please. So as we're looking at agility as a long-term leadership strategy, I want you to be thinking about these four things. Sustainable success. When you have agility leadership in place, okay, you have a type of leadership that cultivates, around you the model, okay, that others can follow. It gives the environment, it gives the way for people to see an environment that is able to, be moving and fluid, not one that gets stuck so that if there is a problem, there takes a long time for it to be solved. I've been in organizations that are like that, where everybody knows there's a problem. We just keep tripping over the problem and nobody has done anything to fix it. And years go by and people quit and it's just awful. And so when we have the agile leadership model, because people see that we are paying attention to what's going on in our organizations, we are addressing things and we are moving in a way that is fruitful. Maybe they don't agree with all the way that we moved, but the reason we moved, but the fact that they see the effect. Like I tell people all the time, you might argue with me, but you cannot argue with my results. Okay, I may not have done it the way that you thought I should have. However, the fact that I did it made good sense, to me and to all of those who are the customers on the end of this. They received what they were supposed to receive with excellence, and that's what matters, okay? And then it also positions you, when you have that agile leadership strategy, it positions you to be able to have a competitive advantage. Your unique value proposition is bright and shiny when you have that agile leadership style, because you can gain a significant competitive edge when you are able to respond faster than other people in the market. And I want to tell you that having that dynamic, forward-thinking, environment in your company is sometimes what causes people to choose you before they choose others. And then having it, as a part of your own personal growth, practicing agility for me has really been something that has added value to my own personal growth. It has changed me in ways that, I think are, powerful, because what it does is it causes me to always be evolving, to gain new skills that I can add it to my arsenal so that I can continue to serve others better. When I have more to offer than I have, or a better ability to offer what I do have, I have, something that people can really take and utilize, okay? And they can use it for everything that it's worth. And so it's important, because I live for the benefit of others, that I'm constantly growing and constantly having new things to share. Well, this is kind of a call to action moment. I really urge you to reflect on your own leadership practices and see what we have offered here today that you can use to upgrade your skill set. Okay. And if you are interested in learning more about agile leadership and how it works, there are courses. We can steer you in the right direction, to get some certifications, because being agile does come, if you decide to do it, some formal education, you get certifications for that. Okay. It's something that you can post on LinkedIn, but it's also something that you can say to people, I have taken, gone the route of getting my leadership, highly focused on being, agile, and taking on this new skill set has given me the ability to have something better to offer, so embrace this new concept. And, if it's new to you, and if it's not new to you and it's something that you just haven't been using, but you've known about it, please take this time to slow down long enough to put it in place so that you have a tool that can help to make your company, more open to change, and um, be all that it can be for its clients, its customers, and for you, okay, the company at large. Thank you for watching, and thank you so much for being with us here on Co-working Live with Red Worldwide. And we'll see you again next time.